we have today in regards to technology. It is just amazing. This was my first computer. Wasn't my first computer, it was our family's first computer. It was an Amstrad, and I think I was about 10 years old, and my dad brought it home, and I was excited. This is the first time I'm playing computer games and stuff like that, and it kept on getting me away because you can see it's got a big manual and it needed to be programmed, and it was complicated, friends. And you see on the right of the keyboard there, it has a tape player. And this tape player is not for playing music on. This was the data device that they used to have before they had floppy disks. It used tapes. And I remember you had to wait half an hour for that tape to go through to play this pixelated monstrosity game. And I remember this is one of the first games I played, Bomb Jack. And you can see the little superhero jumping and grabbing the bombs. I don't know what for. And but this is it. And then I remember as time went on, my brother, he bought a new computer, and there's a game called Syndicate, and it had 5 floppy disks. And that was big back then. Wow, 5 floppy disks, because, how much does a floppy disk, how much data can you put in a floppy disk? Can you remember? 1.44 megabytes. That was the most. And, that was a big deal back then. And now, today, you can buy this brand new phone, iPhone, and it's over $2,700 something, but you can get it with a terabyte in it, which is 1,000 megabytes, which is 728,000 floppy disks. Or you could just get a micro SD card, which is smaller than your thumbnail, and it can have the same amount of data. And then, well, what's bigger than a terabyte? Well, you've got a kilobyte, megabyte, gigabyte, terabyte, pentabyte, exabyte, zettabyte, sorry. And just amazing, these numbers for data are just huge. And when you're talking about these big numbers, this is a data center for Facebook, 2.3 billion users. It has 4.4 petabytes of data going through it every day. They need to store that, they need to sort it, they need to delete it. So they've got data centers which have something like 30 exabytes of data. But when you add up all the phones, all the computers, all the SD cards all around the world in 2022, there's something estimated about 10 zettabytes. Is that how you pronounce it? Let's pretend. Zettabytes. Amazing. But you know what? Let me blow your mind, friends. Let me blow your mind. Just one of your double helix DNA strands has 215 petabytes. And you know how much DNA you've got in your body? 1.7 quadrillion DNA strands, leading to 370 billion, I spelled it wrong, zettabytes per person. Now, when you think of those millions of scientists and experts and engineers for decades working on these systems of data storage, and what have they created? All this fantastic technology, smaller and smaller, more and more data. But then what God has created, it blows your mind. And you say, it happened by accident. We came about by chance. It's fairy tales, friends. It's fairy tales. We are perfectly designed. And it's amazing when we compare what God has created to what humans have developed. And in comparison, it's comical. What humans have created, it's infantile. And what God has created is amazing because it's in us. And we can say with the psalmist, I praise you because I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works are wonderful. I know that full well. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, friends. It is amazing. And we know with our cars, they are engineered, they are designed, and if they are properly maintained, if you follow the instruction manual, take it to a mechanic, etc., maintain it yourself, you can do that, I found that out. And you can pay less, and it's good for you. Anyway, your car will last a long time. And if we follow the instruction manual that God has given us, our bodies will last a long time as well. They're designed that way. God knows what's best for us. And there's a scale, friends. about the things that we know that are bad for us and the things that we know that are good for us. I remember when I was a kid, they had this cartoon, these ads, Norm. Don't know if you remember that, but he was a very overweight man. He had a beer gut, he was smoking, he was drinking, etc. What's some bad habits that we know are bad for us? Tell me. Yell it out. Smoking, chocolate. Whoa, settle down. Let's take it slowly. Let's take it slowly, friends. What else? Drugs, alcohol. Lack of exercise, yeah. Second? Macca's. Oh, fast food, absolutely. And we know that these things are bad for us, and they're all the way down here. But it's depending on the scale or what we know is good for us, the further we'll go to optimal health. And again, it's these little choices that we make every day. But this is what God desires for us. He wants us to have those abundant lives. This is one of my favorite verses. It's in John 10:10. It says, "The thief does not come except to steal and to kill and destroy." We know that's the enemy. We know that's Satan. But Jesus says, "I have come that they may have life and they may have it more abundantly." This is what God desires for us, to have an abundant, active, strong life, not a diseased, frail life. He wants us to experience that true joy that comes when we have that optimal health. Now, I have a warning here that I might step on some of your toes. Somebody's already stepped on mine when they mentioned chocolate. But you know me. I'm not perfect, friends. You know me, and I said that last week, but I need to talk about this topic. And there's some things that I may mention that are going to step on your toes. This morning, when I was fixing my tie, I haven't worn this tie in a while, it was up here. And I said to my wife, "Did I used to wear my pants up here?" And she said, "Well, maybe your belly is sticking out further than what?" And that kind of stepped on my toes, friends. But sometimes we need to hear that. Sometimes we need to hear that. And it's not the best. I don't get motivation from that, I'll be honest. I don't get motivation from that at all. But sometimes we need various motivation. And the best motivation is what the Bible says. And I want to put this whole sermon in this context. It says, "Do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit?" That amazing body that is designed and created and is so complex. God dwells in you, whom you have received from God. You are not your own. You were bought at a price. Therefore, honor God with your body. So this should be our first motivation. This should be the thing that motivates us first. If we put God first in our life, then we should say, hang on, the choices I make in my life, in my physical health, in my mental, in my emotional, in my spiritual health, it's all connected, friends. The choices that we make affect our relationship with God, and God says, you are not your own. You are bought with a price. And the choices that we make affect our relationship with God, but they also affect our family. They also, obviously, they affect our personal life as well. But you are not your own. You say, hey, they're my choices. Well, friends, the choices that we make affect other people as well. And I want you to consider that. Maybe that'd be a little extra motivation rather than just me stepping on your toes. Because we need to make, let me encourage you. Little changes that we make in our lives right now can have big consequences, good consequences in our life. And some of you are thinking, well, I'm not like Norm. I'm not drinking and smoking and drugs and alcohol and stuff like that. But I know I'm not there, so I'm going to make these huge, massive changes in my diet, and I'm going to exercise 5 times a day, and then we try and make these changes, and then we say, it's too hard, I'm going to go all the way back here. But just little changes, just a choice every day. But I want to encourage you, a choice with consistency and persistence, because like I mentioned last week, it's easy to eat a salad once. It's easy to go to the gym once. It's much harder to do it regularly and intentionally. But those little changes that we make, and you might say, well, I'm not like such and such. Well, you don't have to be. You don't have to be. But you do, I want to encourage you, you do need to be surrendered to God. What is God saying to you this morning? So this morning, if you know me, you know that one of my favorite sayings If you ask me how I am, 9 times out of 10, what will I say? Fantastic. Now, the only times I don't say fantastic is one, if I'm visiting you in hospital and you're near death or something like that, and you say, "Oh, Paul, how are you doing?" I'll say, no, I won't say, that's inappropriate. But there's another time that I won't say fantastic, is when I'm feeling really fantastic, I'll say, "I'm dangerously fantastic." And so people have said, "Paul, why are you so fantastic?" And I want to share with you how to have a fantastic day every day. And if I follow what I share with you today, then I am dangerously fantastic. I have that fantastic, dangerously fantastic day. So the first step to how to have a fantastic every day is to have a fantastic morning, to start your day off right. And I've said this before, but that's not true. I have trained myself to get up early in the morning. Because to have a fantastic day, I believe you have to start it off in the right way, and that needs time. And so you get up early. And some of you say, "You've lost me already, Pastor Paul." Well, here's the thing, you need to go to bed early. You need to go to bed early because you need sleep. Absolutely, you need sleep. And the best sleep is before midnight. You say, "Is that true?" Well, here's a letter from Ellen White from 1888, and she says, "Sleep is worth far more before than after midnight. 2 hours good sleep before 12 o'clock is worth more than 4 hours after 12 o'clock. And I didn't mention, but God knows best, and He's revealed to us in the Bible and in the spirit of prophecy through Ellen White, and science is confirming that today. Notice in this article and what this doctor writes, which I can't pronounce their name, it says, "Some studies have found that people who go to bed late and have trouble waking up in the morning are more likely to have a shortened lifespan." Now, I don't know with that big bag and that little bag what Karen tried to choose, but I want as long as life as I can get. I made a commitment over a decade ago. I want to see my children's children's children. That's what I want to see. And I don't want to see, take a photo with me of 5 generations. No, I want to be healthy. I want to be active. So having a shortened lifetime, our sleep affects our lifespan. In addition to a much higher risk of psychological disorders and diabetes. People who don't have a well-regulated circadian rhythm are more likely to suffer from cognitive deficits like poor focus, inhibited learning, and reduced memory consolidation, the doctor said. People with an abnormal circadian rhythm are also at increased risk for certain mental health conditions like depression. So if you want a fantastic day, you've got to start with a good night's sleep. And the best time for sleep is those couple of hours before midnight. And science is proving it. Science is saying it, friends. Now, the next thing, as soon as possible, you have 2 big glasses of water. Well, you say, "Paul, if I drink 2 big glasses of water, I need to go to the bathroom heaps." Well, that's the point, friends. Because when you wake up, you are, what are you when you wake up? You're dehydrated. You've been sweating, you've been breathing, all the moisture. You haven't been drinking while you're asleep for that 7-8 hours. And you're dehydrated. And the whole point is to rehydrate yourself as soon as possible and then flush all the toxins and waste that your body has filtered while you've been sleeping. So 2 big glasses of water, that's gonna wake you up. And I want to encourage you, it's going to wake you up much better than a coffee. It's going to wake you up much better than a coffee. And I need to say this. Again, friends, I'm sorry if I'm stepping on your toes, but I need to say this. Coffee is not good for you. And I know you know it. I know you know it. But it's not good for you. And again, I looked on this government website. We know what caffeine does to us. It stimulates our central nervous system. It's a diuretic that makes you urinate more, which causes more dehydration. We'll talk about that in a bit. It increases the release of acid in your stomach, increase the risk of ulcers, etc. It interferes with the absorption of calcium. It may do that. It will increase your blood pressure. And if you, if you have too much, leads to restlessness, shakiness, insomnia, headaches, dizziness, fast heart rate, dehydration, anxiety, and a dependency, so that you'll need to take more and more and more to get the same results. You don't need it, friends. You don't need it. Again, over 135 years ago, Ellen White said, coffee is a harmful, a hurtful indulgence. It temporarily excites the mind to unwanted action, and the effect is prostration, sadness, exhaustion of the mental, moral, and physical forces. The mind becomes enervated. I can't even pronounce that properly, but it means you lose that vitality. And unless through determined effort and habit is overcome, the activity of the brain is greatly lessened. All these nerve irritants are wearing away the life forces, and the restlessness caused by the shattered nerves, the impatience, the mental feebleness becomes a warring element against spiritual progress. Did you know what you eat and what you drink affects your spiritual life? Absolutely. Then shall not those who advocate temperance, that's talking about us, and those who reform be awake in regards to these injurious things. And shall not this pledge paper embrace coffee and tea as hurtful stimulants? In some cases, it is difficult to break up this tea and coffee habit, as it is for the inebriant to discontinue the use of liquor. The money used for tea or coffee as a common drink is worse than wasted. It does the user, be it man or woman, harm, and that continually. Shall Christians bring under the control of reason this appetite, or will they continue its practice because they feel so let down without it, like the drunkard without his stimulant? Friends, we need to drink more water. Water is the best for us. And, I mentioned coffee, but it could be anything. Energy drinks, cordial, juices even. The best thing that we can drink, soft drink, I didn't even mention it. The best thing we can drink is water. Not just when we just wake up, but the best thing. Best thing we can drink is water. And so I want to encourage you, drink more water. So after you've woken up early, you've drunk your 2 big glasses of water. Now it's time to spend some time with the Lord. The best time of the day is in the morning. Before the day gets busy, is in the morning, and you start with prayer. Lord, help me today. Bless me as I read your word. Help me to understand it. And then read the Bible. This is what I do. For some people, it doesn't work. They say, I need something creative. For me, I just read a chapter a day. And I pray about it, and I ask questions about this chapter, and I go deeper and deeper. And I love it, friends. I love it. But then after you've read the Bible, you pray. And I just love Heather and this initiative about Week of Prayer. Boy, friends, we need to pray more. Too often, though, we pray just for ourselves. How many others do we need to pray for as well? Friends, family, are we praying for them daily? Our work colleagues, are we praying for them intentionally? This is why we need time with the Lord in the morning. Spend time. We don't end our day and ask the Lord, oh, forgive me for what I've done. Start the day with the Lord and say, help me today. Give me strength today. And this was Jesus' practice. Very early in the morning, while it was still dark, Jesus got up, left the house, and went off to a solitary place where he prayed. This is the best for us. This is what Jesus did. And he gave us that example to follow. And then straight after our study, the best time for exercise is straight away in the morning. What, before breakfast? Yes. Before breakfast, fresh air, sunshine, exercise. This is the best for us. Some would say, hey, Paul, it's Melbourne. It's cold in the morning. I had a doctor in South New Zealand that said, there is no bad weather. There's only bad what? Bad habits? No, bad clothing. Inappropriate clothing. You just put a jacket on. Just put a jacket on. Fresh air, sunshine, exercise, the best time in the morning. But you need to make it work for you. Need to make it work for you. I know that many of you with children, etc., mornings are especially busy. You need to make it work for you. But again, exercise is super important, friends. I've got no time. I want to encourage you. It is the best thing for our bodies. God designed exercise. He designed us to move. And the more we move, the better it is. And I don't know. You say, I don't want to sweat. I don't want to do those things. You need to. It's good for you. It's a part of it. Now, have a good breakfast, friends. Some of you say, again, I don't feel like breakfast in the morning. If you've been awake for 2 hours and you've spent time with the Lord, you've gone on an exercise, you're going to be hungry at 7 o'clock. And so have a good breakfast. Have that cereals, have that juice, have toast, have whatever it is. But again, let me share with you a personal experience. I spent a couple of hours measuring my breakfast. And again, I'm not perfect. Please, you can see this very well. For breakfast, I have 2 meals. Not 2 meals, 2 different types of things. One is cereal, and it's a big bowl of cereal, and I put all those 5 different things in it from all, I'm not a specific brand of person. We get it from Aldi, we get it from everywhere. And I dump it all in this bowl, and I like it. But I measured how much I'm eating, which I never do, 810 grams. I think like 550 of those is soy milk. But it leads to 4,726 kilojoules and 40 grams of protein and 23 grams of fat and carbohydrate. Carbohydrate, 176 grams. And sugars, 67 grams. That's a lot, friends. And you're thinking, Paul, why are you struggling to lose weight? Maybe you should learn portion control, Paul. Well, don't step on my toes too much, friends. But this is it. What you put in your body, it builds your body and it affects you. But, this concentrated cereals and foods, we don't know what's in it unless we look at the label. It tastes good. It's easy. It's quick. But, this is what it has. But here's another one. The other food I drink is is a green smoothie in the morning, and this time I measured it, and boy, it took ages to get how much energy bananas has and spinach. I picked spinach out of my garden. It's all organic and stuff like that, frozen strawberries and frozen mangoes and linseed and flaxseed and chia seeds and walnuts and all these different types of things, and I blend it all together. And you can see so much less kilojoules, more protein, more fat, but these are healthy fats from nuts and seeds and stuff like that, but much lower carbohydrates and much lower sugars. Now, which do you think is better? The second one. Is it the same amount? It's actually more. And the closer that we go to God's original diet, the better it is for us. This was God's best diet, the original diet for us. Genesis 1:29. Then God said, I give you every seed-bearing plant on the face of the whole earth, and every tree that has fruit with seed in it, they will be yours for food. And the closer that we go to raw, the better. The less processed our foods are, the better it is. And this is a hard saying, friends, because it takes time. I have a friend, and he's a very healthy man, and he's a cook, a chef, and he spends a lot of time making food. And I'd love to eat like that, but it takes time. And we're so busy. But again, this is the health choices that we make. Am I going to take fast food? Am I going to choose something healthier? Am I going to go fully chef mode? Maybe you don't have to go that far. But the closer to raw, the better. The more the nutrients we get, the more healthier we'll be. Someone said a couple of months ago, and I never have been into supplements until I had COVID, and then I said, I don't want that again. And so they encouraged me to have zinc and vitamin D and vitamin C, and I've been having them for months. And even though some in my family have been sick with colds and flus and stuff like that, I've felt a lot better. And so I don't know, I'm not a doctor, take it with a pinch of salt, but these things have worked and I believe increased my immunity. And so maybe they can benefit you as well. Do your research, talk to appropriate doctors, etc. But yeah, it makes a difference. If our diet is inadequate, obviously the best thing to get these vitamins and nutrients is from our diet. But if our diet is inadequate, then we need those supplements. Then, you're not rushing to work, friends, because you've got time, because you got up early. Straight away, you're starting to feel better in the morning. Your stomach is full, you've had that fresh air, that sunshine, that exercise, you're getting those endorphins, you're feeling great. Now you're actually looking forward to go to work. And people will notice it, friends. People will notice it. And they'll say, hey, how are you? How are you today? Good morning, how are you? Good afternoon, how are you? Good evening, how are you? What should you always say? Fantastic. You know, I got this maybe over 16 years ago from Ed Foreman. He was a motivational speaker that spoke about how to have a great day every day. I stole some of his ideas. And he always said, anybody who says good morning, good evening, good night, how are you? You say terrific. Well, terrific wasn't part of my vocabulary. I changed it to fantastic. And for the last 16 years, the majority of times when people ask, how am I say fantastic. And I'll give you a secret. I'll give you a secret. I don't always feel fantastic when I say it. Well, you're saying, Paul, you're lying. Well, friends, the more that I say it, the more that I feel it. You know, on Sabbath, I have heaps of people, how are you? How are you? And I say, fantastic. Pretty soon, I'm feeling fantastic. But do you know that our feelings affect our body, our physiological feelings, etc.? They affect our body. But do you know your actions and your words can affect your feelings as well? So why not we do the opposite? Why not we allow our actions, our words, our thoughts to change our feelings? And so I want to encourage you. Someone asks you, you don't have to say fantastic, you can say awesome, wonderful, glad to be alive, whatever it is. Something that was positive, something that will make you feel better when you say it. And pretty soon you'll be not just feeling fantastic, actually it evolved. It was fantastic, and then triple better than fantastic, and then it went to dangerously fantastic. So, you know, I want to encourage you, soon you'll start feeling fantastic. And again, our mind is so powerful. God said this, well, Paul said this, finally, brothers, whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable, if there is anything excellent or praiseworthy, think about such things. Whatever you have learned or received or heard from me or seen in me, put it into practice, and then the God of peace will be with you. We need to watch what we're putting in our minds as well. We need to watch what we're putting in our minds as well. Think of social media. I had to delete some apps because they were just filling my mind with garbage. What people were posting, what people were putting, and it affects us. So again, what are you thinking about? What are you affecting? I mentioned this last week, and I need to mention it again. But some of you are killing yourself at work. And you're working too hard. Whether it's your own business, whether it's for somebody else, whether it's for your career, whatever, you need the right priorities. You need the right priorities. And again, if you want that fantastic day, you need to have that balance in your work and your life. To have that right priorities. That means you need to enjoy life. You need to step away from the office. I had a friend who just said this to me recently. Nobody on their deathbed says, oh, I wish I spent another hour at the office. Nobody says that, friends. Nobody says that. And the people that are going to miss out if you are not there is who? Your family the most. Your family the most. So enjoy life. Take time. Enjoy those hobbies. And take that vacation. Take that holiday. Use all your holidays. I want to say this. Some of you have been storing up your holidays because you think your work can't live without you. Take that holiday. You've deserved it. You've earned it. Take it. But don't just think of yourself as well. Because this world, this life, the body that God has given you is not just so that you can have a fantastic day, but that you can bless somebody else. Help somebody who needs it. And I want to encourage you, follow Eric Van Schoonhoven's advice or practice. Do a good deed every day. And don't just pray, God, if you bring somebody into my life, I'll do a good deed. Actively search for it. Do something that can help somebody else. And finally, if you want that fantastic day every day, I want to encourage you to trust God completely. Trust God completely. So often, my church members here have so much worry and so much anxiety and so much fear when Jesus says, do not worry. He commands us, do not worry. You can read it. Who of you by worrying can add a single hour to your life? God wants you to live abundantly. There's this wonderful doctor, he's passed away now, Dr. Ellsworth Warham. And when he was in his middle age, he decided to have a plant-based diet. And he lived and he worked to when he was 95 years old as a thoracic heart surgeon. And he just lived such a vibrant, active life until he passed away when he was 104. But he didn't make that choice right at the start of his life. Friends, I want to encourage you again. It doesn't matter if you're young or if you're old, it's never too late to make changes. Positive, healthy changes to increase your vitality. I want you to die young, but as late as possible. Do you get what I'm saying? I don't want you to die when you're a young person. I want you to die with all that energy and strength and vitality as late as possible. I mentioned it last week. God's people should be the healthiest, longest living people in the world today. And they can be if we follow the instructions that God has given through the Bible and through the spirit of prophecy. Is there a change that you need to make in your life today? You didn't need a preacher to come up and say, be more healthy. Is there a change that you need to make in your life? I know I do. I know I do. I want to encourage you to not put that off, to not say, I'll do it tomorrow, but to say, Lord, help me today to make that positive, healthful change that I know will extend my life and will give me energy and vitality today. I pray that you would make that choice today for your health and for the sake of others. That's my prayer. Let's sing our last song together. Beautiful. The blood will never lose its power. Thank you, magicians. It's enough. It's enough.